Alright guys, it's your boy Taco Phil here. I want to talk about my last video and all the comments that I've gotten. Alright, let me clarify plain and simple. You do not, you are not required to have any driving history. If you do not have a driving history, you can still be hired. It is not required, but it is encouraged to demonstrate that you have some sort of history operating any sort of vehicle. The first question on the application is, do you have any relevant experience? This experience can be anything from driving a bus, driving a, what is it? Postmates, whatever, Uber. That can be your relevant experience. Now, I can tell you that I don't know how many people apply, but 90% of the drivers that I have come across that have made it through school that I've talked to personally, they had some sort of driving experience. Whether it was they were driving trucks, they were driving buses, whatever. That's not to say that they had no experience. I've come across a small number of drivers who had no experience when it came to driving. I think the main thing is, I don't know if people are just, they think you have to have a specific amount of experience in order to apply, or they're just not applying. That's why I made that video, was to say, hey, if you think that you have to have any sort of major experience driving big vehicles, you don't. Any experience helps. And, the first question is, do you have any relevant experience? You can find relevant experience, and if you do, it helps you. If you don't, still continue the application. Everyone gets called in for an interview if your record is clean and you meet the minimum requirements. It's almost an automatic thing. But when you get to your work experience, it does ask you to list your 10 years of previous employment, and if you have worked in any commercial capacity as a driver, it has to be listed, mandatory to be listed, mainly because if you do have any work experience working as a commercial driver, they look that up. They look up your records, they contact your employers. The few references that I had, they actually asked for that contact information, and whether they contacted them or not, I don't know. But they asked for that information because they want to call those people or contact those people and see, does this person have safe driving habits? They're really concerned about safe driving habits. Now, when I first applied, I met the requirements, but and I talk about the H6. When I first applied, my H6 wasn't great. I had put in for the expungement, but because I was in a rush to try and make the class, I submitted my original H6, and even though I met the requirements, I didn't have any moving violations in the past, 5-6 years. I was contacted by the school manager, who sat down with myself and my driving manager, and she reviewed everything. And I was like, I don't understand how this isn't even applicable. I'm qualified. I don't have any moving violations, any accidents, or any of that stuff within the past couple of years. All the stuff that was on there was like fix-it tickets, and I had a couple failure to pays for some old tickets, from back in like 2011 and shit like that. I had, my H6 had like stuff, like old speeding ticket I had back in like 2005, shit like that. And the school manager, not the driving manager, the school manager, she was the one who looked at it and was like, hey, even though you don't have anything recently, it shows that you've matured. Having this history on your H6 is a red flag to the school managers that you may not be responsible. You may be immature. Even though you're a grown adult, you've shown a history that you may not be able to manage safely operating this vehicle and making good decisions. So, I went and I got my H6 cleared. I submitted my H6 that was clear, and they reviewed it. We sat down, we talked about it, and they accepted me. So, they look at that stuff. And remember, you have the multiple processes. The first process is you meet with the hiring manager, you submit your H6, you submit a copy of your license, and I don't remember if they asked for proof of citizenship, but they may have. And you sign a couple documents. Once he's determined, he briefly looks over your H6, and once he's determined that you have the basic qualifications, then he submits that information to the driver school manager. The driver school manager looks at your stuff and does a brief look at it, and they are responsible for submitting that to Dallas HR. Dallas HR does the background check, I should say the elevated background check, the elevated H6 and DMV review and all that good stuff. So anything that may not be on your H6, anything that may be relevant, will come out to them. Once that's cleared from Dallas, this has nothing to do with your hiring, the guy you first had your interview with. This has nothing to do with the school manager. Once Dallas okays your information, then you are okay to get your medical clearance. And with medical, you're just doing the basic medical background check, or I should say the medical checkup, and your urine test. And that information is sent to them for being cleared. And at this time, once you recommended to go get your learner's permit. If you don't have your learner's permit, you can't start the school. So if you're really serious, you know your driving record's good, go get your learner's permit before you even apply. It just saves you time. It gets you in there as quick as possible. When I went to do my process, the driver manager was like, hey, if you seriously want to get into this next class, you need to get your learner's permit like tomorrow, or within like the next few days. And I did. I crammed for the test. I went and took the test. I passed it on my first try, and I got my learner's permit within literally like 2 days of freaking 2 days of my interview. So they saw that I was motivated, and that helps immensely. So, I'm not trying to discourage anybody. I just want you to understand the process that I personally went through. They've been motivated to get drivers, so I don't know if it's the same process, but I think it still is. Just keep your nose clean. Study. You got to know your pre-trips. You got to know your brake tests. You gotta meet those requirements before you even get out of the school. If you are coming, he goes, I want to answer the one question from Denise. If you are out of town and you are on the West Coast, you will train in Los Angeles, or I heard that sometimes they do switch off with Phoenix. If you're from out of town and you do go to LA, they put you up in a hotel. They shuttle you from the hotel with the other students to the training facility, which is in downtown Los Angeles. Your local hub or your local terminal is responsible for getting you to Los Angeles. So you don't have to come out of pocket. You don't have to drive down there. He goes, no matter what state or city you're in, if you're outside of Los Angeles, they will send you to that location. They give you a stipend for food and living. They got laundry and all that stuff on the premises. So don't worry about all of that, okay? Don't worry about driving down there. Don't worry about commuting down there. They get you in there, If you're in LA and you're there in the middle of the night, you'll probably see me. Sometimes I work on my day off. You'll probably see me. Stop and say hey. I love meeting you guys. I've met a couple of you guys already. Again, don't get discouraged. If you think you don't have the qualifications, if you got issues, anything can be explained. Anything can be removed. Get your H6 cleaned up. And keep sending questions. I'll try to answer as many questions as I can, and I'll try to keep you guys informed on my process and what I had to go through. Again, these are all my opinions. These are what I had to deal with. You may deal with something different. If they don't ask you for your H6, I'm surprised. They review your H6. All right, so Taco Phil. I'll talk to you guys later.